different projects. At a certain time, that was necessary to phone accountancy department to make to fill in a form, and since the activities covered 3 states, always these accounting and taxing specialities were something we had to tackle with experts. So I always had a feeling that these experts were sort of magicians and we couldn't understand their art. So this is a sector I do not understand very well, as you understood by now, and therefore I'm extremely happy that there is a department full of such magicians I can turn to. Imagine that such a situation and the activities you need to perform are all of a sudden supported by AI or by automation. So who knows, perhaps I'm not communicating anymore with a department, I may be communicating with a chatbot. And after having explained my problem, the chatbot understands and draws the best optimal solution. As I said, the whole sphere is sort of a magic sector, and therefore that's why we invited one magician to explain us how it works and how to effectively involve AI and automation. I'm extremely happy to be able to welcome Karin Fuentesová, who is founder and CEO of Digitoo.ai. Hello. Thank you very much for the invitation. Hello to everyone. And I would start with the presentation. I would like to specify that if people say you do accounting, we do not do accounting. In fact, it has to be quite manual, but we did involve AI. Allow me to explain how this startup was established and what had the reasons behind. My name is Karin Fuentesová. I worked for 13 years in finance, in charge of external accounting company. I had my own team, and I was rather annoyed by the fact that every time a new graduate came, a very highly educated person, 75% of his or her time was to typing invoices into the system. That gave me the idea automation would be a help. And since I had this interest in my childhood, I started to think about how to make entering invoices into the system more easy, which was inaccessible for small enterprises. I tried to find solutions, and I found out there was no one, and not even one, accessible to us. There was KVC and Reflex Capital companies that invested into such companies as Rohlik, Product Board, Bushman, and Food Shop, and they were willing to help us. We won a competition for being integrated into SAP. We also cooperate with Atos and Deloitte. We are not a garage startup company. This is a survey of our major customers, Alza, Raiffeisenbank, Dennis, and other. The portfolio of our customers is very large and interesting. As I said, I was looking for the solution.
And I simply came across a startup. They didn't really have any customers at that time. It was Cheese Factory, and I said, oh, that's exactly what we'd been looking for. So I consulted with them, and they offered me to hire me full-time. And
původních 60% přesnosti
to get from the original 60% accuracy to 97% of accuracy, which is a great leap. I think that in terms of startups, you need to find ways to do things differently and not just to run the business to earn money, but to solve something and help the society. And I think that eventually the startup and the solution itself have a much greater value because you like it, the whole team will like it, and it'll bring added value. In addition, it's great to hear for a client that you've saved his or her time and they have more time for their kids. As I said, I wanted to make the system, Rossum, available to everybody, just like Ford, so that everybody can actually have it. You can create an account in several steps, several clicks, and even your grandma can do that. And we didn't actually agree on that with Rossum because they had just made fresh investments and they were pushed into greater figures. So they understood they wanted to focus on enterprise clients. But we were thinking, well, we want to give the little ones and we need to connect it with the different systems. But the Rossum was really innovative compared to the other systems. So it was really hard to integrate. So we started interconnecting them. And Digitoo was created when the first client called us and said, we really like it, we'd like to pay you, and we realized we didn't really have a company. So I went to found a company, and this is how Digitoo.ai was created. We wanted to interconnect systems so that an accountant could come and use the system within 3 clicks. And we succeeded, or not. Well, Rossum actually terminated the contract after a year, and the whole solution was built on them. They said they changed their strategy. We actually got an investment for that, so I had to meet the team and decide what we'd do, whether we'd stop or what we'd do. And I was surprised by the team saying, well, we'll build it ourselves. I thought, well, this is maybe not realistic, but we really started, and we found out that it was realistic because the technologies had moved on quite a lot, and what we had done for 5 years, we were able to do in much shorter time. And this is how we created Digitoo. It automates the whole process and works with AI. So just to give you an idea, we are an AI accounting company. AI reads the invoice and sends it to the accounting system so that you only do the management in your business and not spend hours on your invoices. So as a startup, what do you need? I think you really need strong will. A startup is a battlefield, exactly as in the case of Rossum. Things like that happen at least twice a year. I don't want to be impolite, but there's always something that goes wrong. And every day you need to deal with little things. And during the first years, you just fight to survive. I thought that no leader can be a people pleaser. I think that the young generation in particular is taught to get along with everybody. You need to get along with everyone. But I really like this quote by Steve Jobs. If you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. So if you become a founder, a leader, you need to take tough decisions which are unpopular, and try to have no bullshit policies. So there are 3 things we adhere to in our company. So number 1, key people. Second, no bullshit policy. This is part of our corporate culture. We simply say how things are, but it's kind of hard when people go, out and speak openly. But that's a way to actually build a company, because corporations create a very toxic environment, and many times there are misunderstandings. I've come across people like programmers who complained, and I said, look, I'm not your mom, just figure out a solution and tell me when you're done. And eventually they said, well, it was just a misunderstanding and we know what to do. So your business is not your family. It simply is not. It is a business, a company which gives you money and maybe satisfaction because you do things that make sense to you. But Netflix has a book which says that your business is like a sports team, and you may decide whether you want to compete within your district, which is quite fine. You just want to have a small business, or whether you have an international team like NHL. Why is that important? Because that's how you choose your people. The bigger you want to be, the tougher and more qualified people you need to hire. And that's the most important thing. So I think you need to set your corporate culture in a way allowing people to say things openly. In my business, everybody can ask any questions. They know the accounting. Everything's open. In terms of key people, I really like a book by Kim Scott. I think it's called Radical Openness. She says there are two groups of people in a business. Rock stars, those are the people who need specific tasks, accounting clerks typically, and then superstars who need a challenge, who need to move forward constantly. And it's really important to them to grow within that business and find new ways. These are ADHD kind of people. So you need both rock stars and superstars and combine them, because if you only have superstars on your team, they won't actually be able to finish the things you need to finish. It's happened to us that one time we had a colleague who was really tough, and he actually confused his rude language with openness. So one colleague said, he's really rude to me. He told me I'm stupid. And you need to make clear that radical openness doesn't mean that you'll offend people or insult them. It's all based on the fact that you like the person and the business, and whatever you tell or say should serve a good purpose. This is a great thing which I say to everybody. Netflix used to sell CDs with movies, and I think they actually were a movie renting company. That's a long time ago. And they happened to lose their loans. In fact, banks refused to give them any more loans because they thought the sector was a failure. So that was the moment when Hastings said, well, I had to fire 60% of my staff within 3 weeks. So what I did was I took a table. I divided the people into must-have and nice-to-have. And all of a sudden, I threw up every day because I had to fire a certain number of people every week. And I was thinking that I actually only kept those who allowed us not to die. But all of a sudden it turned out that we are more productive, we are able to do everything we want, and our sales and revenues had gone up dramatically. And I just didn't understand how this was possible with 40% of the people. They started to talk to HR people, and it turned out that the teams consisted of superstars and rock stars who had all been demotivated by the rest. So they didn't feel like working because they were kind of hindered by the others who were not as good. And then they said, now that we talk to the same kind of people, we can move on. So ever since, Netflix has had a rule saying that you can always, they only work with the best people. And if you only are satisfactory, you'll get a nice satisfactory severance pay. So he says, well, our business landscape really focuses on the performance and fast communication. And I think this is a way to build a big corporation. This is how big sports teams work. If they look for a player in the NHL, they look for superstars, but also for rock stars who, you know, participate in the game and give the right shoot to you. So if you want to build a startup, you definitely need to decide whether you're able to deal with the huge pressure you'll face every day. Running a business is really demanding. It's like a battle. Every day or week, you need to fight your little battles, which actually puts at risk your business. And if you're not able to cope with this pressure, you'll probably die during the first year. So 90% of startups die within the first 2 years. If they actually survive these 2 years, it's a good sign of survival. It's very important to promote your brand. I've read an article saying that startups shouldn't show off because it's too much. So he thought we shouldn't do that. But I don't agree with that. I think that what was good was that people wrote about us. We didn't really make any big promotion. If you have a good story, media will contact you by themselves. We got good clients and big partnerships. And that's how we started hiring better people. So try to make the team as strong as possible. Don't lie, but be everywhere, because that's how you'll get better people and opportunities and partners, because they want to be with those who are visible. That's the way it is.
It's very important to keep integrity and freedom. Without integrity, some startups and small companies may survive, but me personally, I am not in favor of it. I think that it deprives the company of a lot of things. Unfortunately, unhappy people leave, and there are no added values brought by the company. And I think that it's much better if you have a business, if you run your business with a large reach. Let me share a story I already shared at previous conferences. What is the process of finding for the problem solution? I got acquainted with one head of warehouse in Rohli company, and I asked him, well, what will you tell me about the operation? And he told me, it's extremely demanding in there, but I must say that Tomasz is just genius. How is he genius? Give me an example. And he told me, well, Tomasz now is a group and he does something else, but before, when Rohlik was at its first years, there was a young man who had problems with all pickers, I mean those who pick items into the paper bags. They have a monitor and they see their performance and time left. And there was a boss approaching Tomasz, and he said, Igor will have to go. And Tomáš said, why? And the head said, look at his data, low performance, bad. And Tomáš took the tablet, looked at it, and said, but a month ago he was in frozen goods and he was performing. What happened? And so they Tomáš approached Igor and said, why these results are bad? And Igor said, my hands are very big and I just tear the plastic bags and paper bags when I pick goods. So it was rather funny, and they shifted the man into frozen products, and it was okay. So you should always evaluate the data, but you should also understand the trends, what is behind the data, what happened, what is going on in the background. So often you must find out what's the root cause, and you may find out that the problem lays somewhere else. So look for, and solve quickly, and face problems, solve the biggest problems immediately. If you postpone them because you are not up to solve them, probably they will spoil you, they will pull you down. So always select what's the major problem and bring the solution to it in the first place. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Startup businesses, this is a continual stories of mistakes. So we do not concentrate anymore on what made a mistake. In our company, post-mortem analysis means you look at what happened, why it broke, and then IT finds the solution how to prevent similar situation in the future. So that's the point. Something went wrong, I go and look at possible solutions so that it doesn't happen again. We do not concentrate at all on human mistakes, on who is behind the mistake. This is not important. Important is to find solutions to mistake, not to oversee them. This is not good neither. So the best possible advice I ever got was from Petr Bednařík. Let people screw it up. Because often, if you become to be a problem solver, trying to solve the problem on behalf of everybody else, it's not a good way. People, when they screw something down, they have to work on the solution, and it's applicable to every single project you will be involved in, including bringing your own children. So let people screw it down and then raise the question, how we are going to solve the problem. So this is what we learn every day in this in our micromanagement, to keep decision-making decentralized. When we started, we had many hate letters who wrote us that they should be paid for using our product because it was so faulty. And that was a moment I was entitled to collapse, but I rather laughed at it, and I appreciated the fact that clients were open with us. So this was exactly a moment I went into the depth of the problem. Look at the video I had prepared, but I will not run it now. Look at YouTube on it, and now we do not have any more hate letters. We rather receive love letters. People thank us because we save their time and also money, and it gives us conviction that we do save time of our clients. They are not robots, and if they are replaced by our solution, they may not do things that are routinely things, and they are intelligent enough to do more clever things. Thank you very much for the presentation that was full of information. You spoke about hiring superstars being probably ideal thing when you establish a team. Do you look for such people in the Czech market, or you look also abroad? And do you have any tip how to involve social media? You have to take a long time before you successfully hire superstars. They are usually somewhere else employed already, so it may take you months and months to attract them, to convince them to change their position. So it's very often through contacts, it's very often with different personnel meetings over a cup of coffee, trying to persuade them. 150 employees, you hired them alone, by yourself, excuse me, as the founder. And it's very important that you do it by yourself, because there must be this individual approach to every single person. We do not hire superstars abroad, but I know that some other owners do that. And if you want to go global, it's probably better, but you may miss these personal meetings and this specific opportunity to trying to persuade the person. I liked very much the example you gave, the example when a person gets to a place, the work is not attractive. Let's imagine the person is active, it's performing. The person would like to work to be more performing, but it doesn't go in the team. And so the person starts to speak about that it's not okay in the team. I do not say that it happened to you. It happened to everyone, every owner and CEO. It may seem that the person is a low-performing one, but in fact, the positioning was not done properly. Okay, perfect question. For me, superstar is the person that solves the problem. I mean, setting up the barrier. Superstar doesn't concentrate on the problem, has ideas how to improve it. You may have a good corporate person, which is rather rock star type. Rock stars are not bad people. They are also performing, but they must have their work position clear enough. They must have their job description clear enough. But if you have a superstar, you give the person a broken box and the person transforms it into something that is just running perfect. I used to have a perfect CEO. I brought the Wojta Eschner in, and he told me later on that during first 2 weeks he wanted to run away. But since he liked broken situations, broken items, he changed everything. He set up everything differently, and everything improved, and now we are just looking for remaining defaults to improve. So this is the difference between superstars and rock stars. Rock stars need to have their ways and tables clear. This is always a mistake of CEO. If employees complain, this is your problem, your CEO problem, and you must have ways how to improve it. I did not mean so much complaints. I rather referred to a lower performance person that perceives the tasks to be somehow strange. So the person doesn't complain, but yes, indeed, if you put a superstar into a corporate environment, the person will be rather unhappy because the processes are well established. A corporate company doesn't allow any modifications of it. There must be approval process, and usually superstars leave these fixed, rigid corporate companies. I would have other questions as well, but there is unfortunately no time left. So thank you very, very much for your lecture, and thank you for having clarified to us what we should avoid, even though we have bright ideas. And also, let me remind you that you may watch the presentation and video on Digitoo.ai.